Today, Federal Reserve Board Chairman Bernanke came before the Financial Services Committee. He comes twice a year under the Humphrey Hawkins bill law that was passed many years ago, and he's supposed to be reporting on how monetary policy affects the economy. But we've drifted a long way from that. They don't hardly talk about monetary policy anymore or money supply figures, and they talk about central economic planning and what kind of problems that we're facing today. Of course, we're facing a lot of problems financially, and they're talking about the housing bubble and all the things that we have to do. But the big debate going on right now is how much more power, regulatory power, will be given the Federal Reserve System. And of course that concerns me because I think the Federal Reserve should have less power, not more. I argue that we should regulate the Fed, not the private market economy. But today it was an interesting discussion that I had with the chairman, because I brought up the subject of the dollar, because they're in charge of the dollar. When they create too many dollars, they depreciate the currency. But my question to him was whether or not inflation, that is, as conventionally understood, the rising prices is literally a tax. And that is what I argue, that when we don't have enough money for the Congress, we send Treasury bills over to the Federal Reserve. They create money out of thin air. That depreciates the money and causes some prices to go up. And that is what people refer to as inflation. And to my pleasant surprise, he acknowledged it. He says, yes, inflation is a tax, but it's sort of a hidden tax, a tax that a lot of people don't know and understand. But although he conceded it was a tax and that it was a monetary phenomenon, because I pointed out that hard money economists, supply side economists, as well as Keynesian economists recognize and claim that inflation is always a monetary phenomenon. But what the Federal Reserve does, and all those who don't want to stop the inflation do, is they start talking about prices themselves. And that is exactly what the chairman of the Federal Reserve did. As soon as he acknowledged that inflation was a tax, he says, yes, but oil prices can go up for other reasons. And he was wanting to concentrate on prices, which is true to some degree. Prices go up for various reasons. But the point being, though, the really important issue is the monetary issue on why prices go up. But the reason they like you to think about prices, they want you to not think about the correction, and that is deficits that are being monetized by the Federal Reserve. And this is what we have been doing. We've been doing it a long time. The real problem with the inflation tax is so unfair. It's so regressive. Poor people suffer much more than others. And individuals who benefit are those who get to use the money first. Government, banks, big corporations, Wall Street, they get benefits from using money when it still has purchasing power. But as this money circulates, then individuals pay more for their energy or for medical care or for education or food. It literally is a tax. And if more people would see that and understand that, they would think more about the Federal Reserve. And I think in the last several months, in the last year, more people have become aware of this, that the Federal Reserve has an important role in playing, that they play an important role in causing this inflation. And someday we're going to have reform, because at the rate we're going today, we resort daily on inflating the money supply. No matter who gets into trouble, the Federal Reserve opens up the line of credit, the banks comes, Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae come, and also the Congress goes to the Fed. We run up the deficits. All the pressure is put on the dollar. And in the last 35 years or so, since the breakdown of the Bretton Woods Agreement, we have had a buildup of a dollar bubble. We've heard about the housing bubble and the NASDAQ bubble and the various bubbles that burst, and then we go through a period of suffering. But what we're witnessing now is the beginning of the bursting of the dollar bubble, where there's loss of confidence, and we can't get away with continuing to just create new money. We've had the privilege over these many years of exporting our our inflation. The Federal Reserve has had an easy job these last several decades because they haven't had to buy up all the debt, whether it's the Treasury debt, and they haven't had to buy up the Fannie Mae's and the Freddie Mac and the mortgage securities. Foreigners have done that. Foreigners right now hold $1.3 trillion of mortgage securities, and China is the biggest holder. So in a way, they have provided a benefit for us. But now we will have to pay because they're not buying them as much, and this means that the dollar is going down and probably will continue to go down a long time. If it gets out of hand, there'll have to be a new monetary system. What I'd like to see is Congress to wake up, realize that if we lived within our means, had a different foreign policy, and didn't have these deficits and had the Federal Reserve reined in, we could restore confidence. Of course, the Constitution says the way you restore confidence to a dollar and maintain confidence in the dollar is through a commodity-backed currency such as gold and silver. But what we need today is not what they claim today at the hearings. Is they're claiming that what we need is a world-class regulator to overcome all these mistakes that are made in the economy and by the Federal Reserve. What we need today is a world-class money. We need to have more trust and stability in money and not think that we can compensate for all these mistakes by just having more and more regulation and giving more power to the Treasury, more power to the Congress, and more power to the Federal Reserve System. We are on the verge of embarking on a tremendous boost in central economic planning. We condemned it when the socialist country did it, and we should condemn our effort to centrally plan our economy. We should be believers and in the marketplace and confident that it will work. And quite frankly, we could achieve that by getting our guidance from our Constitution.